Before the huge matchup tonight in Baltimore, the Bengals are hungry for another win. They're trying to, I don't know what's going on here. They're killing me with this. They're trying to get a win tonight. Joe Burrow is only 1-3 in Baltimore. Big game tonight for the Bengals. Divisional matchup. Lamar Jackson playing at MVP level. The Bengals trying to make it into the postseason. What would a win tonight do for Joe Burrow?
You did all right at the top, though. You said Bengals, then you went Bengals. Okay, but anyway.
Bengals, the Bengals. Bengals.
Look, if he can go in there and win this game shorthanded, you know, it's going to say something. They're paying him this type of money, $55 million a year. He was the highest paid quarterback until Dak passed him up, or Trevor Lawrence, one of those dudes. He just needs to improve. You mentioned 1-3 going into Baltimore. Yeah, that week 5, they was all the way to the end of the game. It was neck and neck. They had control. They looked like they might have won the game, but then Baltimore and Lamar Jackson on the road in Cincinnati took care of business. And look, I think I like Joe Burrow, okay? I'm not in love with Joe Burrow. And I understand he's gone to 2 AFC championship games and beat Patrick Mahomes, and he's also gone to a Super Bowl and was one throw away from winning it if it wasn't for Aaron Donald. All of that is ancient history as far as I'm concerned.
Oh.
Because I think what we do at times in the media, we hang on to certain moments, and we love those moments, and rather than just say, well, he really ain't, you know, every year they starting off slow and they really behind the 8 ball and they never really catch up to these situations. Mm-hmm. We sit there and we go back to the Super Bowl. Well, he's one of the top 4 quarterbacks in the league. Okay, that's cool. But if he can go in there, because I don't think I know I haven't and I know Paul hasn't, seen Joe Burrow beat a quality team like this shorthanded when we've seen other top quarterbacks in the league do that, shorthanded, to go into some place and when everybody's talking bad about you and against you, they figure out how to get it done. I want to see him do that. I'm not picking him tonight, but I still want to see him do it.
Well, I'm not picking them tonight either, but you talk about the Super Bowl like it's ancient history. Like, we went into this season talking about the Jets could make it to the Super Bowl. Aaron Rodgers hasn't won a Super Bowl since 2010.
Yes, that is correct. Yeah.
Joe Burrow was just in the Super Bowl 3 years ago. He's a young quarterback.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not. I see how Key is. You got to prove it to him every day. Yep.
What have you done
every
for me
day?
lately?
You got to prove it's Key.
No, you don't have to prove it to me every day.
No equity.
It's just that what we tend to do is we like the fact that he's cool. He reminds us of a Joe Montana back in the day, and he had the Cartier glasses on and the mink coat.
He also took the Cincinnati Bengals to the Super Bowl in his second year, and then went back to the AFC Championship game.
Are they going to the Super Bowl this year?
I don't think so, but
okay.
But we talk about other teams that have a far less of a chance going into this season.
We talk about
Super Bowl
New York
contenders.
because we're talking about a 4-time MVP at the start of the season. When you go back to 2 years ago, if they had Aaron Rodgers, and they would have won 11 games instead of 8 games or 9 games.
Not this Aaron Rodgers.
But not this Aaron Rodgers. But we didn't know that until we saw this Aaron Rodgers. And then we finally changed our mind in the script, Joy, about what the Jets can be.
The question with Joe Burrow for a lot of people has been, what is he going to look like when they don't have the team that they were rolling with?
That's what I just said.
That has been the question.
That's what I said, Mama.
But Joe himself, like, he has no equity. It was not that long ago. We watched him be great, like him himself.
Yes, I'm not arguing with you about that. I'm not having a conversation with you about that. That's not what I'm saying. We can argue, it's cool. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is, for me, I would love to see him go into a hostile environment like a Baltimore at night, where he's 1-3 in his 4 games on the road against them, in this situation, shorthanded, and upset them. I would like to see that, because now I'm like, okay, well, he's checking these boxes.
Well, what would that do for you, though? Because I already got him in the Big 4.
It would do a lot.
No, I mean,
it would do a lot for me.
It wouldn't do a lot for Joe Burrow, but it would do more for his team, psychologically. Because you got to understand, they fighting for a playoff spot right now. They trying to think they can just say, hey, guys, we've done it last year, the year before, where we got behind early in the standings and we make our run. But right now, like, based on what they've done in the past versus Lamar Jackson, they don't know if they can beat Baltimore. Like, and then let alone go into Baltimore and get a win. So for Joe Burrow to get a game like this, just psychologically for him and his team, that would put them in a mindset of like, hey guys, let's look. We have the Colts ahead of us. We have Denver and the Chargers. We're one game, out of like maybe making a wild card slot.
What are they, one game in the 7th seed or something like that?
1.5 games. They're in the 9th slot right now. So psychologically, it'll be huge for them because, like, damn, you could go in there and say, guys, listen, I know Kansas City's 8-0, and I know Detroit is this, but this is the best team in the NFL. When you talk about Lamar probably going to win MVP again, Derrick Henry, the way he's been playing, to get a win like this on the road, just psychologically can boost a team like the Bengals in the playoff race and possibly getting them a wild card slot.
And that's all I'm trying to say, Joey. If you could go in there and conquer something outside of a Super Bowl from 3-4 years ago. I want to see that. Because every year we keep saying the same thing.
It's like kind of a regression. It's regression.
It's not fair when we do other people that way. It's not fair that we want to ignore what we're looking at in Joe Burrow in our face. It ain't him. It's all of them. But you start with the quarterback. He gets the praise, right? If they win, he's going to get all the praise in the world.
But rightfully so. I mean, you look at the numbers. The numbers are MVP-ish when you look at down the line what he's done. It's just his team.
Well, they've been behind a lot too, so they're throwing the ball everywhere.
Yeah, but his team record's not there. He reminds me of, like, if I had to put in the NBA, he's like the Luka Doncic, the NBA. Like, he's going to win MVP the year his team has one of the top records because statistically his numbers scream MVP.
Has he ever been in the MVP conversation? Since he's been in the league, I don't even remember. I don't remember him.
I don't know. I mean, he obviously hasn't won one. I don't know where he's finished in the MVP.
But I mean, has he been? I don't ever recall his name being popping as
because
one of the top three.
Because his teams.
No, he just was in the Super Bowl 3-4 years ago, right,
but
Joe?
they still weren't like record-wise.
Why would he keep adding another year to it?
Well, okay, 3 years, whatever you want. I'd say 3 or 4.
The defense isn't the same this year either. They still have Trey Hendrickson, who leads the league in sacks with 11 sacks.
They missed a couple guys in the secondary that they lost.
Yeah, so as a whole, they are not the same team that went to the Super Bowl 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago and the AFC Championship game. But I agree with you. I think it would do a lot for the Bengals and Burrow. We didn't dust up here earlier today. Beating the Ravens will be a tall task, though, tonight because Lamar Jackson has followed up an MVP season with a really hot start in 2024. He has 20 touchdowns and only 2 interceptions. And those numbers have him leading the MVP odds. Is this the best Lamar we've ever seen, Paul?
I mean, you have to think so. I mean, you look at numbers across the board. He's on pace to break all his single-season records as far as passing yards. I mean, he already has 20 touchdowns. I think his season high is 36 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions. I mean, he's having a phenomenal year. I mean, at times he looks like a video game out there. I mean, he's always looked like that, but he just seems like more calm, more poised. It just seems like every year he's getting better with these spectacular plays that you see him make with his arm. We already know what he can do with his legs. I mean, Lamar, this is unprecedented because we're talking about a guy who's like, he's still young in his prime, and if he wins his third, what would be his third MVP in, 5 years?
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible.
Just need to add that one little thing on there to him. That's it, really. Super Bowl?
Yeah, of course.
Even if he wins or loses, to be honest with you, as far as I'm concerned, because if he loses, he's going to wind up going back at some point because he's too good. And if he wins, obviously, everything else will speak for itself.
I wanted to look at the numbers from his 2019 season because that was the unanimous MVP. And he actually has better numbers through the first 9 games of the season this year than he did during his unanimous season, which is really impressive. But we've always wondered what Lamar Jackson was going to look like with a real star running back and the balance that would add to the offense where he doesn't have to go make all of those running plays. We know what an incredible runner he is, but having Derrick Henry back there has only boosted all of his other numbers and elevated him in another way. I don't think that Derrick Henry is taking away actually from his MVP case. I think that this is what we wanted to see from Lamar Jackson. When it's not running back by committee, when he's not having to go and make these spectacular over-the-top runs, when he can stay in the pocket a little bit more, he's really taking advantage of having a complete and full offense now. And that's to me why they're having such an incredible season and why he looks the way he does.
See, I feel like in 2019, even though you mentioned Derrick Henry, because Derrick Henry is the bell cow who carries the load most of the time in the running game, it was Mark Ingram was pretty damn good for them at the running back position, right? And so it allowed Lamar to do a whole lot of different things. It was so funny because I had Chris Jones from the Tennessee Titans on my podcast several months ago, and one of the things I asked him if there was a quarterback in the league that he would want to play with. Mm-hmm. And he didn't mention Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen or none of these other quarterbacks, Joe Burrow, none of them. He mentioned Lamar Jackson. And he explained to me the reason is because now you basically got a two-headed monster in the backfield.
Right.
You got to pick and choose your poison. And the RPO game starts to come out. It just completely shuts down the defense. It doesn't allow them to key in on you. And you can see that happening with Derrick Henry right now. But
you saw that last week.
Yeah. And as far as the MVP stuff goes, his numbers speak for itself. I mean, we don't need to continue to hash over that when the guy has more touchdowns, less interceptions than any of his MVP seasons through 9 games. It's his to lose. Yeah,
he's statistically for sure. I want to see how they play as a team down the stretch. I think it's going to come down to the last few weeks for who ends up actually winning the MVP. And it's actually kind of nice that the MVP race this year is hotly contested.
But is it really?
I think it is. Yeah.
I really think that it is.
It really is.
I think it is.
I think we're putting people up there because that's just what they want to do. But in the end, he's going to pull away.
Patrick Mahomes is undefeated.
That has to mean something.
It has to mean something.
Yes,
he's the best player in the league.
His numbers aren't his numbers.
Yes, but if they finish with 1 loss.
I still think because his numbers will be so gaudy and they'll be in the playoffs with like the number 2 seed possibly. You know,
I don't know. There's so much football left to play. I don't want to play the numbers of like if they have 5 losses and the Chiefs have 1 loss or whatever. But there's a lot of football left to play. Either way, his numbers are reflective, and even that 19 year with Ingram was a much better statistical year than last year when he won the MVP. So when he has a strong running game or a star running back, his numbers are only only go up because he has the ability to have so many more options in the offense, and they don't have to count on him to be the number one
and they got
rusher.
Viable receivers now, and they're delivering, which was a plus.
Who needs to win more tonight, though, Burrow or Lamar?
For just the win?
Yes, for the win.
Just for the win.
Just for the win.
Then I would say it would be Joe Burrow.
Yeah, obviously for the win.
But, you know, it could be.
And we're talking about the MVP case.
Well, yeah, Lamar loses out on the MVP case. If he loses tonight,
I mean, then
he drops in the MVP.
No question about it. But, yeah, Joe Burrow needs it for many reasons. 1-3 on the road against the Ravens. Your team is still trying to stay in the hunt. Paul mentioned you're in like the 9th seed right now. You want to obviously stay right there in the mix. But if you win this game, you close the gap on Baltimore for that second position behind Pittsburgh. I mean, all of those sort of things are extremely important. And you go into Baltimore shorthanded in doing it, it would feel good.
Yeah, no, and keep in mind, the Ravens also very much need this game. They would like to win the division as well. And they're going up against the Steelers, who are also trying to win the division and are in a position to do so.
So everybody needs a division.
Everyone needs a division. Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak, and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.